Time to tune in. Now another sports center. It's a movement.
Next team that we're going to take and cover is going to take and be the Detroit Lions. The D, one of the, it hasn't been pretty the past few years. It's been, if you're a Detroit Lions fan, it's been a lot of teasing because you guys have had some really.
I'll give them a D+.
Hey, man, we're going to get to it right here. So, all right, I'm going to go over the picks, and then we're going to talk about it. All right, first pick, obviously, Penei Sewell. Probably one of the best linemen off the board. We got Levi Onwuzurike. We got Aleem McNeil, D tackle, North Carolina State. We got Ifeatu Melifonwu.
I changed my grade. They had some guys. I didn't realize they got some boys.
They got Amon-Ra St. Brown, USC. He's a dog. And then you got Derek Barnes, linebacker, Purdue. And then you got Jamar Jefferson. Let me go here for you, Payton, man. What are you feeling that the direction that the Detroit Lions are headed into?
Well, I think it was obvious that ever since we've seen Dan Campbell's introductory press conference to the team that he wanted to go and get tough players, and that's exactly what he got. And I love their first round pick. They got lucky that Penei Sewell fell to them all the way at number 7. And you have Jared Goff, who, other than Baker Mayfield, he's probably the worst quarterback when facing pressure in the entire NFL. So you certainly need to get an offensive line around him. And I think Dan Campbell wanted to go get tougher guys in the later rounds, and I think they were able to succeed at doing that.
Awesome. They're going to be biting kneecaps.
Yeah, biting kneecaps. That's right.
You say luck, I say that's just bad GMing to let Penei Sewell drop to where he did. And there are two teams I'm looking at. And Doug, I do mean one of those two teams I'm looking at you, but we'll get to that.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, I think they had a killer draft, man. I'll give them like an A-, man. Because Penei Sewell was one of my favorite players in the entire draft because the dude was he's like a dancing bear. They say that, but this dude, he had nobody played well against him, nobody. And everybody couldn't be bad. He just has to be that good, right? And then Levi Onwuzurike, a powerful man up the middle, and they doubled down with Aleem McNeil, who's going to be a better pass rushing D tackle. And then Melifonwu, dude, 6'2", 205, like a 4'4", 40. That dude's going to be a problem. And then Amon St. Brown, who was like a second and third round grade. They got him later on. They made some moves, and they're going to make Jared Goff look really good. And they did a lot to protect Jared Goff because they need to. But I think this team, they're going to be much improved depending on the coaching.
Well, I can't overstate how beneficial it is that they have Brad Holmes in their office. That's a guy that was our director of scouting for the Rams for the past decade. He's a reason why our roster looks the way it does. He's highly intelligent, knows what he's doing, showcased it in this year's draft. Not to mention, he's a guy that is very familiar with Jared Goff's strengths and his weaknesses. And if you don't think that he has been talking to Dan Campbell this entire process leading up to the draft, telling him, hey, we're going to have to rock with Jared Goff for at least 1 to 2 years before we can offload this contract.
Yeah.
We got to do everything we can to protect him. And I think that, Penei Sewell fall into their lap. I thought for sure Miami was going to take him. We could talk about that later. But, man, how many times have we seen teams instead just draft for need instead of drafting the best player available? For the Detroit Lions, that happened to shake out that this was both. They needed line, and he was the best player available, and they were smart enough to go ahead and take him. There's too many teams that would have just passed on it because something else flashier, prettier is on the board.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they had a great draft. Games are won in the trenches, and their first 3 picks were that. But I think what really goes overlooked, though, is in free agency, they lost Marvin Jones, they lost Kenny Galladay, and 2 undrafted guys that they signed were both Sage Surratt and Jonathan Adams. I don't know if you know those 2 guys.
That's where Sage ended up. Nice.
Yeah, they double dipped on wide receiver, which was a huge need for them in the undrafted part. 2 guys that I think should have been drafted by the 5th round. I was pretty high on them as sleepers, and they got both of them. So I think they have a couple sleepers out there in Detroit for the wide receivers.
Yeah, they'll be competitive this year for sure.
I'm gonna give them a B+ because after I was fooling around till I heard them names because I knew they had Penei Sewell, but I stopped paying attention to them because I was just like, it's Detroit. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And we were on live covering the whole draft, and I felt like I only remember their first pick. But yeah, they actually knocked that out the park. You know what I mean?
They look good.
Time to tune in. Now another sports center. It's a movement.